G'day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Broker Coach Podcast. Our mission is to be the most valuable podcast in the universe for mortgage brokers. I am your host, Sam Panetta, and today I am joined by my good friend, King G, Alex G. How you doing, mate?
Good, Sam. Thanks for flying up to see me, mate.
It's a pleasure, mate. It is an absolute pleasure. I'm caffeinated after the flight. We are not correctly dressed, though. It is very hot here up in Brisbane. Mate, to put a little bit of context around today's conversation for everyone listening, just a couple of short years ago, you were doing about 2 mil a month.
Yes.
You're racking up 16 mil a month now.
Pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy, right? You've done a phenomenal job there. If you had to distill one thing that was the largest contributing factor to the growth at Kingfisher, what do you reckon that is?
Oh, it's a tough question. I think the biggest thing is probably having that self-belief, right? Because I wasn't in the industry or banking prior, I probably always had a few limitations on where I saw myself long term.
Mm.
And when I sort of flicked that switch and realized, hey, look, the only person that's going to get me up into these top spaces is myself, things started to roll a bit more seriously. So I'll probably put it down to having that self-belief.
Like the belief in yourself that you're actually capable of doing the thing.
Yeah, correct.
At a high level.
Yeah, or like once I had enough runs on the board, the first few years you're just trying to find your way, learn credit, get some deals settled. You're not too worried about the future, but a few years in, then you start to think, oh, shivers, I can actually take this to where I want to take it, and you start thinking a bit bigger. So just sort of taking myself a bit more seriously and just deciding that's where I wanted to go.
And was there like a pivotal moment where you went from not being certain to being confident, or was it a trickle effect over periods of time?
I think I just needed to prove to myself that number one, I could do the job. I could get the deals through. I knew credit. I could get them settled. And eventually when you have enough runs on the board, you start thinking, hey, I'm more than capable of getting here.
Were there ever times where maybe you'd had disbelief or you didn't have the confidence or maybe you felt like you were struggling along the journey?
Early on, it's tough. Used to work in construction, so completely different, end of the spectrum, right? So for me, starting out, the biggest thing was leads, like having enough lead flow to supplement what I wanted to do. And I did quite well for someone new to industry, but I was never in a position where the lead flow was oversubscribed. So I always managed to have enough leads on the go, get enough deals settled, but never take it to that next step because maybe I just tried to keep everything, to myself and have control for a bit too long.
Where were the leads coming from in the early days, mate?
Oh, mate, anywhere. I was
the local library.
Like a lot of friends and family, obviously. Yeah. When I started broking, I sat in my personal broker's office one day a week. I was on a building site the other 4 days. So that one day a week, I was just listening, watching how he had calls, talk to clients. And eventually I built up enough confidence. That one day a week I was sitting on the phones, pretending I was a broker, calling clients, and he was helping with some deals. So it got to a point where I started to just get a few deals settled. I wasn't even doing it full time. And I thought, I've got enough here to give me confidence to go and do my own thing. So that's kind of when it started to pick up a bit. But yeah, a lot of friends, family, learned some hard lessons early on. My mentor was great, teaching me the deal. But then when I started the brokerage, basically on my own, it was just sink or swim, like learn on the run, burn a couple of deals, salvage them, did things the hard way. And eventually I found that if I delivered a 5-star service, I was going to get some referrals off the back. So it was just any lead I had, over-delivered, under-promised, got the deal settled, and then eventually it started to flow.
I got like 100 questions off the back of that one, mate. So let's talk about the 5-star experience there. You're very good at this. If you had to distill it down into actual things that you do that create a 5-star experience for a client, could you pinpoint or itemize what those things are?
In my opinion, the biggest thing is speed. If we can get speed to a yes and give that client certainty and confidence to go and make an offer or put a 2-day finance clause in a contract, and that helps them get a contract signed and a deal over the line, almost 100% of the time they're going to feel that, you've over-delivered for them. So, you see a lot of brokers, again, not pointing the finger, but maybe using some of these lenders where less reliable SLAs and inconsistent credit and stuff like that. I've always tried to stick with consistency, number one, speed to approval, having confidence in the bank, in the BDM that, hey, look, we can get this done in time so that the client has a really good experience on their end.
Because you're so strict on your selection of lenders that you're working with, have you found that over time the number of lenders that you send deals to has shrunk?
The majority of deals, yeah, for sure. We still obviously go where we need to, but those cases where we have to go to a lender and it takes 20 days to get a deal approved, we're left thinking, hey, look, we're never doing that again. So it's not just a painful experience for the client once you start building out a team and then they're dealing with shit they've got to work through because this lender's messed this up, blah, blah, blah. So I think in all areas, it's helpful knowing where your niche needs to go. Yeah. Like client-wise, lender-wise, it just creates such a seamless experience when you need to go back there time after time.
When did you figure out that speed was your competitive edge?
Well, I mean, when you got no deals, you kind of can be pretty quick. So, if I get a phone call at 3 and I can get an
approval at 5,
an option back to the client at 6, like you're ahead of most brokers, right? But probably that's because I only had 3 or 4 deals on the go at once. So I could just put all my time and energy getting a solution back, getting it submitted, approved, and on to the next. So, yeah, that was probably the first 18, 24 months.
I've got a cracking question for you then. If at the start not having volume was where you got your edge of speed, what about now when you got a fucking shitload of volume? How do you continue to deliver on speed?
It's tough, right? I've probably always hired later than I needed to, up until sort of 12, 18 months ago, it was just me still. So I almost went 4 years on my own. And I just got really good at managing multiple moving parts. I've always kind of had that. Even when I worked in construction, I was kind of managing building sites, project management. We'd have 10, 15 builds. You got trade, suppliers, quoting, internal carpenters you're dealing with. So there's a lot of moving parts. And when I moved into broking, that just came really, really easily for me because I was able to use that multitasking to my advantage.
This is so interesting, mate. And this is where you and I are so similar. I was a spray painter, right, before I got into finance. But spray painting, it was methodical. It was very step-based. It was like you have to do 1, 2, 3 steps in 1, 2, 3 order. Otherwise, the whole thing fucks out. And I applied that to finance.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you've taken your construction background and applied those methodologies to finance.
Yeah.
How long were you still in construction while you were getting finance off the ground, mate?
I did 6 months. So,
okay.
1 day a week, sat in broker's office and introduced a few clients, blah, blah, blah. So did that for 6 months and then got to a point where I had enough of a buffer set aside. And I thought, look, I didn't really have the opportunity to come on there as a proper broker. Looked at maybe working for some other people, and I think there was only one person that said, go and do your own thing. And that was all I needed to take the jump. It was Adam Bradley, actually, at Emerge Finance.
Adam,
so
shout out Adam.
Shout
out to Adam.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
You reckon he's listening?
Mate, for sure, yeah.
Mate, I've got so many questions here, mate, from so many people. We're not going to get through them all, but we're going to try our absolute best.
Fire away.
Mate, what's the biggest difference between writing 6 mil months and writing 16 mil months?
Yeah, so when you're a sole operator, right, and you're trying to handle everything yourself and punch deals through a apply line, you got a limit on what you can do, right? And I did that for way too long. I sort of realized I'm at my ceiling. So when I finally ripped the Band-Aid off and looked to hire, that was really the needle mover. I kind of skipped the whole VA thing, right? I just kept grinding myself, doing big hours, and I think it was a couple of Christmases ago. I got to Christmas time. I was like, I'm just zapped. I need help. So I left it way too long, but as soon as Jess came on board, it just started to skyrocket.
Yeah. It's our name drop. I told you were going to get a name drop, Jess. And what do you think held you back from having your first hire? Jess is obviously, she's amazing, but what do you think took you so long to pull that trigger?
Maybe because my lead flow has always been quite organic. So, it very referral based, word of mouth, existing clients, and it's still predominantly that. But for me to put someone on very early without that consistency, I probably saw it as a bit of a risk. So I just made sure that I knew when I was grinding it to the bone, I needed help. So that it was kind of like a little lesson to myself. Hey, look, you burn yourself to the ground and then you're ready. But I don't advise that for most people.
Question off the back of that, did you get consistency with the lead flow before you pulled the trigger, or there was just enough volume of lead flow that the risk was small enough for you to take the punt?
I knew I was going to hire at that certain point. So leading up, 3 to 6 months leading up, I just went pretty hard on the lead gen side and just trying to fill that pipeline. Obviously not every client comes through straight away. So I knew, hey, look, if I get a bit of a backlog here, by the time someone comes on board, there's enough workflow there for them to jump in and start working through.
Yeah. Perfect. And we know when you're getting the referrals from the clients and the repeat business, that's off the back of you delivering the 5 stars, right? But you've also built up this awesome relationship with a whole bunch of different referrers. How did they come along, mate?
Again, I think I was just in the right place at the right time. Couple of really good, loyal referrers that I'm got along with, mates with, have known for a long time, accounting, planners, a couple of real estate agents, etc. So starting out, right, no one wants to give you a look in. I reckon I had, 30 coffee meetings to get two referred deals. So you have to be quite tactical. I made a point of, hey, look, I need an accountant. I'm going to take my business to this guy and I'm going to hope to build a relationship that way over time, similar with the planning staff, et cetera, et cetera. And I think once you're in and they can see, your staff, if you're doing a really good job, it just starts to flow more naturally.
And do you think did you go out of your way to choose a niche and then the referral partners reflected that? Or do you think that the niche chose you in just the deal types that you were excelling at?
I think because of the partnerships I built, the niche kind of found its way to me. Mm-hmm. The planners, they do a lot of similar stuff. Accountants obviously have self-employed clients that need help. So straight away I ended up in this little, circle where we're doing a lot of debt recycling, pulling equity to invest. Business owners are doing whatever they do. So just naturally over time from helping so many of those clients, I became really good at it. And you start to get more referrals and leads of that type of client off the back.
Because people hang out with people that are similar to them. So
Correct.
If you're nailing it for someone who's a business owner, who's doing, refi, equity release, investment purchase, they're probably at a barbecue with other guys that are business owners that want to do similar shit.
Yeah, 100%. And I love the business side as well. I am a broker, obviously, but worked in a lot of family businesses, understood how to run business, different structures. So I had a really good background in that as well. And, I love reading through financials, P&Ls. So it's quite, it interests me. I enjoy it. So it's a good match.
Love. And this takes me to my next question, mate. How do you juggle life with this thriving business and a young family?
It's tough, man. It's tough. There's a lot, obviously people see 9 to 5, the clients, the after hours text, but you're never really switching off. Again, when I was working in construction, it was the same, right? You're getting texts at 6 a.m. from trades. You're up all hours of the night trying to get stuff done. So I've probably lived that life for the last 10 years, across broking and my previous role. it is hard to switch off. Obviously, when you're home, you want to try and be as present as possible. I still struggle with it. It's an ongoing thing where I'm just trying to get a little bit better, and as the team grows, pass on a bit more responsibility so I can hopefully calm down a little bit.
Do you think it's possible to do, or do you think a life of the business owner is just busting ass?
Nah, it's the life you choose, right? If you want to go and work for someone, you go and work for someone. I've noticed it the last few weeks as I've had another team member come on, right? You just feel the intensity as well. You're like, okay, now I've got a few people that are relying on me, so I've got to step up again and again. So the responsibilities grow with work. Obviously, the kids are growing up and, going to prep and daycare, and stuff's always changing. So you just got to try and juggle as many balls at once.
It's fucking hard, mate. I don't know how to do it. I don't have a solution. So if anyone was waiting for us to drop bombs, I got no idea. Mate, your team's growing, right? And they're guns. What are you looking for when you're looking to hire someone and bring someone into the fold?
Yeah, I think a few things, right? So both my team members, amazing at what they do. James has only been with me a couple of weeks, and Jess obviously just over 12 months, but the way that she's come on and just sort of hit the ground running, it's even surprised her and me, I think. So that's amazing to see. When I was going through the recruitment process, both times I was just looking for someone that had been used to working in high volume brokerages, used to that high performance model. I wasn't there at the time, so they took a bit of a punt on me choosing to come on board. But I think they could both see the potential and where I was going as well. So, they're both remote. Jess is in Melbourne, James is in Tassie. I'm up here in Brisbane. So I feel like if you can give people that flexibility as well, if you can show them a bit of a pathway to progress their career, I think that's a big thing. Mm-hmm. People don't want to feel like they're boxed in. So I think the way the business is going, hopefully it gets in a position where I can keep progressing their roles and I can do less and less.
Love it. And this is a fucking cracking question, and it ties into this. You're probably one of the most efficient brokers I've ever seen, right?
Thank you.
You've done it even with the volume that you were writing on your own. And I know you're burning yourself, but you're writing a lot of volume by yourself. What's the secret sauce to this efficiency, mate?
Oh, I think it's up in my head most of the time, but with the stuff I was mentioning earlier, right, where I prolonged growing the team, I was trying to squeeze every efficiency before I got there. So before I even had the team member, I had the process as dialed as possible. Whatever tech I was using at that point in time, it changes every 6 months, but every little edge I could get, I would look to incorporate that into the process to help me keep growing and keep growing, working hopefully the same hours, but volume growing and growing. When I had kids as well, that kind of was amplified, right? Because now I'm in a position where I can't be meeting people after hours, right? I want to be home, helping out around the house. So, at the moment, probably leave home around 8, back home 4:30, maybe 5 most days. So I just want to try and squeeze as much as possible in that period. Mm-hmm. And over time, you just get really efficient at tinkering with the process and getting a little edge here and there, and kind of leads us to where we are at the moment.
And you have nothing in your calendar. Is that right? It's a Warren Buffett-esque calendar. There is no meeting.
Yeah, look, it was pretty bad up until recently because I would just answer the phone as it rung, right? So again, back to that speed thing. If I can pick up a new referral within 3 or 4 rings, take them through the discovery process, they're going to run through the system maybe before someone's scheduled a meeting. So I used to use that to my advantage. It's getting a bit harder to manage now because obviously with the team growing, there's more and more new calls and leads I need to get to. So shout out to Mitch Barth. He's going to hate
Mitch,
he's going to love me saying this, sorry, but he's kind of been on the calendar drive, so he's got me tinkering with a few things. So we'll see.
Mitch Barth, shout out, mate, shout out. What's the difference between being efficient as a person and building a team that is efficient?
Ooh.
As a cracker, eh?
That's a good one. One thing, when I brought Jess on board, right, I knew she came from a high-performing brokerage, so I didn't actually set my process on her. I said, hey, Jess, how are you used to running deals? How'd you do things in your previous role? Can we take some things from your process and build it into our process? And she's got a way of running a deal. I had a way of running a deal, far less structured. But I've kind of let her incorporate the way she likes to do things. And James has come aboard. He's a bit of a hybrid between myself and Jess.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just letting him run things how he wants to. So I think if you can sort of give them the framework and then sort of play to their strengths as well, you're going to get a better result as opposed to making them stick to a set process.
I love this. So Jess comes in, she's a gun. She's obviously really good at the way of doing it. And so instead of saying, hey, this is how we do it, you're like, show me your process, right? What's this high-performing process you got? As a percentage, how much did your process change when Jess came into the business?
Oh, it just took so much off my plate. Yeah. You just, once we figured out what we were going to offload and what I was going to keep, you just get into the, in the, what am I trying to say? Get into a bit of a role and you start to, compounds and you get more and more efficient. So, we're at a point now where, initial call I'll take, send out the client portal, gather docs, she'll run all the credit. I'll do my little Loom video, work through the strategy, and she takes it through to settlement, similar to James. So,
yes,
I've really got 2 or 3 touch points between initial call through to settlement, which has allowed us to keep scaling.
Has the workflow changed now that James is on board, or has it largely remained the same of what you and Jess built together?
Oh man, this month it's just, he's only been with us 3 weeks, I think, but the potential for those two and the amount of volume they can get through, I can't feed them enough at the moment. So it's very efficient. They're very good at what they do. I think, halfway through February, we're already at what our average was, 12 months prior. So hopefully, with a couple of them there, we can keep stacking.
We're gonna have to get you dancing on TikTok, mate. All right. So we've got some crackers here. Your mate Tom Carmody, shout out, my man. He wants to know. He didn't actually ask. I put it politely. I said, "What does a day in the life of Alex look like?" But Tom said, "What the fuck does Alex do every day?" So answer whichever one of them you like.
Oh, mate, wake up probably 4:30. The kids are banging on the door. I've tried to get back in some exercise recently to try and clear the mind, but have breakfast, do daycare drop-offs, get to the office. Probably spend the first hour just putting out a few fires, getting the workload set up for the day, and then basically on the phones and catching up with clients, new inquiries, existing clients, and then in the afternoon I try and send out my proposals. So kind of after lunch I feel like I'm in the best space where usually I've got 3 or 4 proposals. Jess and James like, hey, can you send these out to the client? I say, yeah, I'll get to it. So, try and stack a few of those in the afternoon, send them out to clients overnight. And then, next day back on the phones, following up, trying to get them through. So, I look like I don't do much, but not much from the broking side, but a lot of phone calls and back and forth. Yeah.
That's the role. Do you know what I mean? That is the role in its essence. I saw this meme the other day. It was like, I wish I could tell my teacher now, look, I get paid for talking all day. And eventually that's how it becomes. How long does it take you to put together one of those strategy presentations via Loom that you sent to your clients?
Got it down to about 10 minutes.
About 10 minutes to present a strategy. Fuck, that's good.
Yeah. Sometimes I just jump in my inbox, open the strategy. The first time I see the reports when I'm live recording. But I know what's going on, right? We still have a lot of back and forth. I'm still involved, with a lot of the credit stuff, and we float through ideas. So I know what's going on. Sometimes you get a shock if there's something in there you're not used to. But
pause it and start again.
You can pause it. You can start again if you need to. But I think the other day I pumped out 4 in about an hour,
Crazy.
10, 15 minutes filming, 5 minutes putting a nice email together, send it off. And, mate, the feedback from clients, seriously, every time I send it, such a great idea. We can watch this through in our own time. We can watch it, send it to mum, dad, whoever. So it's worked really well. Yeah.
I love that. People are time poor, man. 100%. They want to do things in their own time, but they want access to it immediately. It's Netflix over Channel 9.
The alternative is, right, I set aside a 6:30 meeting. I've got to try and get my kids to bed, get the laptop up, spend 45 minutes blabbering on. So I've always tried to lead the clients in the direction I think they need to go to. Sometimes that changes, but at least they get time to digest it. And then often, we'll get an email, 10 o'clock at night, sounds good, go ahead. At worst, we're doing a phone call the next day, spending another 5-10 minutes. So yeah, it's quite compressed.
How much of your efficiency do you think you owe to the niche and the deal types all being very similar, not only for you, but for everyone else in the team as well?
Yeah, it's a big point, because when you start looking at stuff outside your wheelhouse, that's when things take time. And, done a few commercial deals over my years. It's not something I'm dying to go back to. So every time you step away, further and further away from that niche, things tend to go wrong. So yeah, we're pretty selective. We don't do any asset. I kind of learned that early on. Find good partners, refer it on, stick to what you know.
It's so funny because everyone typically thinks that the bigger a firm gets, the wider the niche gets. But would you say that the bigger that you've gotten, the sharper your niche has become?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
When you start out, right, you write a few car loans here and there because that's what's on your desk.
Loans.
Yeah, a couple of plenty loans. And earn $900 here or there. So, it's good to, if you can help the clients and deliver that, but at scale, it's not sustainable, right? You kind of just evolve like that. The more volume you do, you go, I don't have time for this. I've got to find someone I can trust. And again, speed's a big thing. My referrer, pass it on. They get looked after. The client's happy, I'm happy. So,
but you could see a scenario now that has a certain level of complexity for a generalist broker, but you've seen the thing 97 times. The team could grab it and be like, bang, that's the solution because you've done 4 of them last week.
Yeah.
Where if someone else has never touched it, it might take them 10 days to get a solution to that style of deal.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, love.
And like across the team now, we've got, they've all come from different places. They're all they've got their own little niche too. So certain deals I go, okay, this is perfect for you. Maybe I'll send this one your way. So I think as we keep growing, hopefully that can become even more specialized.
Where someone who's a gun at this and someone who's a gun at that, they get the deal flow, which of course makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Eric wants to know how you juggle running the business and helping out all the other brokers that you always talk to all day.
Yeah, I'm pretty guilty of being sidetracked sometimes, but I think what it comes down to, right, when I started, I was kind of a bit of a lone wolf. I just worked out of the spare bedroom, didn't have too many contacts in the industry, so it gets quite lonely. So I like giving back to people and helping out where I can, throwing my opinions onto everyone that they might not agree with. But I don't know. I like talking to people like you. So, if I've got to spend 20 minutes on the phone to help someone, more than happy to.
100%. When you came into the industry, mate, were there brokers that helped you out along the way?
There definitely were, but I wasn't super big on the outreach. A couple of people here and there, and you get along to the PD days and see what people are doing. So it's good inspiration. But I suppose up until I started working with you, you don't really have, you're not really comparing with people, right? You see what people are doing online, but you can't really see behind the scenes as to what goes on. So I think that's a good thing you have in your group. You're getting that exposure to all different type of brokerages, what's working for them, where people are lacking, and you can kind of take little pieces from everyone.
What's been your biggest takeout from, seeing a cross-section of the under the hood of different brokerages?
I love the fact that no two business is the same.
Yes.
Because when you start comparing too much, right, you're thinking, oh, I've got to go offshore. Everyone's going offshore. I've got to do it this way. But you can really mold your brokerage however you like. So I like having that, having that flexibility and not thinking you're making a wrong move, right? Because you can really set things up to whatever suits.
And I see this obviously every day, and it's amazing how much like the character type and the personality type, et cetera, interests, passions, all of that of the broker dictates how the brokerage is built. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think 100%. I still think that business is more art than it is science, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, particularly like the running of the business, right? Some really good brokers. Amazing brokers, but maybe not so good at the team management and all these other things. So you've really got to piece together so many moving parts. It's, when you sit down, you look at everything, you're juggling. Like, oh, how are we doing this? But it seems to work out.
It works out. Oh, this is a cracking question from Mona. How were you able to let go of the control of certain parts of the business?
Oh, good question. I mean, when I first brought someone on, well, Jess on, I quickly realised she was far better credit than I am, right? Like the amount of MIRs we used to get when it was me, Jesus.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Oh, you're good at some things, but you also, you skimp on some other areas. So as soon as I knew she was better than me, you're doing everything. I'm not even checking your work. You've got full autonomy to take this wherever you're going to get it approved. So yeah, that was a big one. As soon as I knew what she was capable of, you have the confidence to just let her run.
That's the word, confidence. That's once you've got that confidence, you're able to let go of something and you know that it's in good hands.
Yeah. But I think you got to give people that opportunity as well, because if you're sitting there micromanaging, especially from a credit perspective, I still dip my toe into things when I shouldn't. Say, hey, what about this? What about this? No, it doesn't work. So I think the more you try and hold on to that, the harder it's going to be for that person to have the confidence.
So do you think that there comes allowing a little bit of risk and allowing people to make mistakes and then it working? You've taken the punt, you've taken the risk, the thing works, and then the confidence builds and then you let go of it. So there has to be an element of risk taking involved of that.
Yeah. I mean, when you first have a staff member come on, you're a bit more hand holding, right? You're working a bit closer on things. Gradually just starts to, you not that you care less, but you're happy to palm off more parts of the process. So yeah, 100%. I think that helps.
And so when you're hiring someone and you've done a phenomenal job, how many people are you interviewing before you're like, that's the one? You just got that fire in the belly feeling.
Oh, I think Jess was like the first proper person I spoke to. It just kind of worked out very well for both of us at that time. Having gone through it recently, probably spoke to 5-10 other people, and you know if there's promise there or not. So the first little feeling you get, you definitely want to explore that option.
And it's a feeling in your gut.
Just a feeling, like asking the right questions, running a scenario past someone, seeing how they think, like all these little things. And when I knew that James was the right person, he was asking me the same questions that Jess would ask me. So that's all it took. Yeah.
How much of business do you reckon is just like a gut feel, mate?
It is, yeah. Yeah, I've probably been guilty of not trusting it always. I'm a bit of an overanalyzer, running multiple numbers, projections. I like that certainty. It's just the way I am. But you get to a point where you've got to rip the Band-Aid off and take a bit of a punt on yourself.
Do you think that you've been more confident in your gut feel over longer periods of time, your intuition, if you wanted to call it that?
Yeah, like there's been a few big moves I've made where I've stewed on it for 6 months. I was changing aggregators. That was a big thing 18 months ago. So overanalyze that before I made the call, but I've always been right. So I think you need to trust where your heart's leading you. Yeah.
What goes into the decision to change an aggregator, mate? It's a big move.
It was, yeah. It was a lot of efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
I was at that point where I was looking to grow the team, and I had the process dialed to myself, right? But when I'm trying to document how to run a deal, when I'm using 3 different software, it's not going to be easy for someone to come in and learn. So that was the biggest thing. Hey, look, I'm at that point where I want to start to scale. Where am I going to be able to go where the systems are going to be scalable and easy for someone to follow?
How did you even know to think about that, mate?
Again, just efficiency. Yeah. Like, I think you want to make someone's job as easy as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're facing all the roadblocks that you faced, they're not going to be as productive. So you're not going to get as much bang for your buck, right? So even now, right, I try and give my analysts as clean a deal as possible, so that when they pick it up, they're not having to go to the client. They can just do their job, get me an option back, and I can send that off. So I still, I've been lacking a bit recently, but I still try and give them that quality so they can do their job efficiently.
Because the quality, the earlier it starts, the easier it is to flow throughout the entire mortgage process or home loan process. Basically.
Yeah. And I cost myself sometimes because I'm the one calling clients, chasing docs, right? It's not going to be scalable forever. But if it takes me getting on the phone call to chase up XYZ so I can get them a deal to work on, it's a phone call I'll have every day of the week.
Well, I assume when you build out your broker team, then the brokers will be the ones that are chasing up the docs to hand over to credit. Correct. I might be getting ahead of myself, but surely that's 100%. That's how I see it. I see it looking.
Yeah. So it's kind of going through that life cycle at the moment, right? Where Jess is moving into a broker role over the next couple of weeks. So the thought behind that is, and I know we've spoke about it a lot, is like, okay, well, how can I keep growing the volume but not be so reliant on me to have so many client calls? So, I don't want to be on the phone 12 hours a day. If I can empower the team and they can run a deal confidently, there's no reason why they can't be the broker and take the reins. So
100%.
Yeah, that's probably, hopefully over the next 12 months, we can keep building that out.
100%. Love. All right. We're here, look at that. Caleb, how do you hand over deals effectively to your team? So they're full files. Yep. What's a full file look like for you?
Full file, 80% complete fact find. Because I have a lot of referrers, existing clients come back. Sometimes I know some of the details, so I can go in and sort of, update them so the analyst doesn't have to do it. Getting enough documents that credit can place the deal, right? So income documents, tax returns, chasing up the accountant, anything that's credit critical that they need, and it's going to let them give a recommendation. To me, that's a good sign that they've got enough to work that deal.
What about if something's not credit critical, just collect it at the point of application?
Yeah, like I don't want to put up too many roadblocks, right? Yes. Sometimes we're guilty of that. Like compliance-wise, we need a lot of shit. If they've got a HEX deduction on their pay slip and they haven't uploaded their HEX, I'm not going to sit that deal until I have the HEX statement, right? I want to keep things moving. And then if it's a deal, we can chase it later. We do a lot of proposals. Not everyone comes back straight away. So if you're wasting a lot of time gathering every single document, and look, I try and stick to that, But if you're investing so much time in that and then your conversion rates aren't at 100%, how much time are you letting walk out the door?
And I'm certain that conversion rates can't be 100%. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. It's not how a brokerage operates. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Fuck, there's so many good questions here. So many questions, there's so little time. Did you have cash burn when you first started the brokerage, or was the construction gig negating the cash burn? Because it's a big thing in the mortgage game.
It is, yeah, it is. Look, to be fair, I didn't have the cash burn that probably many people do.
Mm-hmm.
I made sure I had enough of a buffer.
Mm-hmm.
I said to myself, I'm not going to take a wage for 6 months. So that first 6 months, I'm going to let that build up. There's a bit of working capital. Not that I was hiring anyone, more for myself. And because I kind of had that 6 months doing 1 day a week, that was kind of my pipeline, right? So as soon as I got accredited and set up my brokerage, like I deal settling pretty much 1-2 months later because I kind of had those people in the pipeline. So I know it's tough. It is tough for new brokers in this kind of day and age. I think the big thing is just building that pipeline, getting enough people in because they're going to take time to lead to settlements and eventually money in the bank.
What advice would you give to a new broker who is starting out today to get the pipeline built as quickly as possible?
Like if I could go back, right, I would have been far better off going to work for a high-performing brokerage, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably be where I am now 2 or 3 years ago, hopefully, with that exposure. So I'm definitely not against that entry into the industry, particularly if you're new, right? I know there's a lot of brokers that have taken that. They go and do 2 years as an analyst, high-performing brokerage, and then do their own thing. So I probably would have done that in hindsight. But like if you can generate the lead flow, you can learn the credit. Like I'd be on a building site till 3:00, come home, I'd just be looking at servicing calcs, reading policy. I loved it. It was far better than hanging doors, right? So for me, like you're able to learn all the credit. It's not that difficult. You've got BDMs, you've got people you can lean on. So if you can get leads in the door, like that's where you need to be spending your time and energy.
Ooh, okay. What percentage of a brokerage's performance is marketing and sales, G-Man?
Oh, a good chunk, right? Yeah. I've been pretty guilty of getting stuck in the weeds, so to speak. So up until recently, like that's kind of been an afterthought, but now I'm starting to scale and go, okay, well, I need a more sustainable, consistent lead flow. So how can we look at this? Where can we put our time and energy? If I could go back, you'd be putting in at least 3/4 of your time into the marketing and sales. And then, the deals you are getting, hopefully you can push them through pretty quickly or get support to take that off your plate.
Can't believe you said that, but you sound like me. You sound like me. Just dance on TikTok. What was the hardest part of going from construction to finance? Because it was fucking hard for me to go from smash repairs to finance. But what was the hardest part from you, construction to finance?
I just knew if I could stick with it, if I could just give it 2 or 3 years, it was going to be easier. So, those first 2 years are tough. I worked out of spare bedroom, little Queenslander, had a little whiteboard with about 3 names on it. I worked more then though, right? Because I'm working from home. I'm trying to generate some, a bit of consistency and action, but sometimes it just doesn't happen, right? You're sitting in there at 8:00 and you go, what am I doing here? Like waiting for the phone to ring. So for me, it was always a matter of when you feel like you're getting bogged down, just get out of the house, go and have a coffee, just take yourself away from that environment. But again, yeah, I've got PTSD from that spare room, I think.
You don't go, it's boarded up, you don't go in there anymore.
No, I've moved now, thankfully. But, some pretty quiet times in there where you second you're second guessing, right? You go, and I was doing enough to first few years doing quite well and enough to get money in the bank, but still I always thought I could do more. So I was always looking for that next level.
Do you second guess yourself even today, G-Man?
I'm much better today. Last 12 months, I think I've really proven to myself that I belong with the top brokers. Prior, 12 months ago, no, I would have said not the case. So I think I just needed to get those runs on the board to kind of prove to myself that, hey, look, you're pretty good at this. So you got to try and take it somewhere.
Was there a pivotal point where that actually became your opinion when you're like, fuck, I'm real good at this?
I always thought I knew. I thought I was good at the credit side, but it's different, right? Getting a deal approved and settling X amount a month, right? You need those. There's a lot of volume you need to get through, a lot of proposals, a lot of applications. Obviously each stage, the drop-off rate, there is some leakage. So just getting through that volume. And now that's all I'm worried about, the inputs, right? Getting the proposals out, getting them submitted.
Yeah.
What happens at the end of the month, that's out of our control. So if we can just build and stay consistent at the top end, we're going to see that reward over the next couple of months.
Do you think that's just a maturity in business thing where you focus on the inputs and not on the settlements? Because everyone focuses on fucking settlements, but they're a lagging indicator. They're from work you done 3-6 months ago.
Yeah, 100%. You know best, right? I started working with you 12 months ago.
You going to tell the story?
Yeah, I'll tell the story.
Tell the story.
I don't mind. So start working with Sam and, we're proposals are looking good, applications submitted are looking good, but the settlements weren't there, 3 or 4 months in. So I called you, I said, Sam, I'm just not seeing the results. I just need a month or two to sort of think about things. And then I think 2 weeks later, we had a record month. I was like, oh, okay. Got to trust the process.
That's what it takes. 4.5 months, guys. 4.5 months is what it takes to get results from effort. Fuck, that's one of my favorite stories. This is a great one. So at any point where have you ever felt stuck or challenged in the business?
Oh, several times, yeah. You kind of, I think a couple of years in, you start to get a bit of consistency, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it gets a bit comfortable. You're doing pretty well. Your consistency, you're settling consistent numbers, but you kind of feel comfortable as well, right? You're not, everything's running nicely. You're doing what you think you should do, but you're not kind of super motivated to go to that next level. So, yeah, you probably feel stuck. I probably felt stuck a few times at that kind of stage where it was comfortable. I was doing what I needed to do, but nothing more. So,
when you were stuck, how do you become unstuck?
It really took me a while to figure out where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. So a lot of the time I didn't know. I didn't know if I wanted to be a solo broker doing X amount or build out a team. I just didn't have that. I never thought too far ahead. I was always just focused on getting through month after month. So it took me a while to just take a step back and figure out, hey, look, what do I want to do with this? Do I want to build a business where it's less reliant on me, which is kind of the pathway I'm building towards now? But that almost took me 6 to 9 months to figure that out. Yeah.
And it's such a big decision. That's not just a business decision. That's a life decision. Yes. Do you know what I mean? What am I trying to build here? What's the legacy? How does it impact my lifestyle? There's so many factors that go into that. Is there any thought process around that you could share with us, mate?
Yeah, I think you just got to try and work out what you want the future to look like, right? My kids are 4 and 2 at the moment, so we're kind of through that.
Thick of it.
Yeah, we're kind of through the hard couple of years, starting prep next year and a few of these things. So, okay, do I want to be working 12 hours a day? No. Do I want to be able to, go to school sport and do drop-offs and pick-ups and build a business around that, less reliant on me. So, yeah, I think if you can just take a step back and try and work out where you want to be in 2, 3, 4 years' time and then try and build towards that, you're going to be more successful at getting there as opposed to just finding your way like I was trying to previously.
So the longer the time horizon, the clearer the decision-making becomes.
Yeah, it can help, right? Because, if you're trying to set the business up to build a brokerage in 2 months' time, you're not going to be able to do it without taking on a large amount of risk. So you kind of want to reverse engineer where you're hoping to get to and just make gradual steps of getting there.
Is the hard decision there deciding where it is that you're trying to get to?
For me, it was. Yeah, for me, it was. I think it's because I just never, not that I wasn't confident or had limitations on myself, but I just didn't know what I was capable of. If you go back to when I started, settling $2 million a month was a great result, right? That was the first yardstick, and then you get there, and then you get to the next little ledge, and then it keeps growing and growing. You go, okay, well, this is becoming scalable. Now I can be a bit more tactical around how I structure things.
It's such an important fucking thing there, man, where like when you go from 0 to 2 mil a month, right? Your first 2 mil a month is like, man, I'm on fire here. And it's a massive thing. Yeah. It is an absolutely massive thing. If you had a 2 mil a month today, we'd be in a little bit of trouble, but it just...
I still do.
But it changes, like your expectations of how things should happen can change materially based on how much has been accomplished in the lead up to it.
And I think if you're across your numbers and, your inputs, doesn't matter what you settle month to month. Like we do, the industry does measure month to month. That's how we're paid. But if you just take a step back and go, okay, over the course of this year, if I give this many inputs, I should expect this much output. It'll all start to average out.
And it does. Do you know what I mean? Like a 30-day period in business is not a lot of time. Yes. Do you know what I mean? To judge the performance of a business. Ooh. All right. You've answered a couple of these. I've got a few bangers and I'm being stared at for time. So we're going to... No, I'm joking. All right. Caleb wants to know how you feel now that you're becoming a finfluencer.
Oh, God, Caleb, no, far from it. It's taken me 12 months working with you, Sam, to start to get in front of the camera. So, yeah, one thing I wish I did 6 years ago, is just start building out that personal brand, that presence. If I'd started back then, I'd be so much further along than where I am at the moment.
It's fucking crazy because everyone you talk to is like, I wish I started doing a personal brand 5 years ago, like unless someone had done it. But for those, mere mortals like us who hadn't done it, it's like, I wish I'd done it, a long time ago. What's the thought process into it for you where it's like, hey, I should have started to build a personal brand years ago?
Just the reps you need, right? The consistency you need to build for it to be sustainable. And it's still not, it's only early days for me in that space because I've got more time now. I can put more time and energy to learning it, see what works, what doesn't. So I think when I was so bogged down in writing the deals, it's the last thing on your mind, right? You've got enough deal flow to keep food on the table. So, now that I've got a bit more time in my day, I want to be a bit more selective with what I'm doing with it.
I've got a juicy one for you. When you started out, you said you went in 20 or 30 coffee meetups to get a couple of deals. If you were starting out today, would you go for 20 or 30 coffee meetups or would you punch out 20 or 30 hours worth of content?
Oh, you'd be mad to go and try and meet people, right? Because like when you look at it, right, you go and catch up with someone. Oh, hey, I was in construction last week. Now I'm writing deals. Like,
imagine from their point of view.
Yeah, like people are happy to meet you, but like it was a grind. It just that's probably what took me so long because I was just so reliant on that's what I thought I needed to do. If you can spend 50 hours a week putting out content, you're going to get good at it pretty quickly, I'd imagine. and it won't take you too long to build up some authority, some trust, and then hopefully you can start to target your niche and get some inquiry off the back of it.
It's a cracking point there, mate, where if you do 50 hours a week, you're going to get good at it quickly. You're going to fucking suck at the start. Like, there's no way around that. There is a learning curve to getting good at marketing, advertising, content, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just reps. Now that you're rolling your sleeves up on it, mate, what have you learnt recently in the content stuff?
I think it's like anything. Consistency is the biggest thing, right? You're going to put up some crap. It's not going to relate to anyone. You're not going to get inquiry straight away. But if you stick at it, and there's a few good examples in your group, it starts to snowball. So, I'm not too long into that, and already I'm seeing a bit of potential there. So, okay, let's try and refine that, more of the same, and hopefully we can start to keep building. So.
Love. All right, 2 more. What's the future look like for Kingfisher?
Yeah, I'd like to build a high-performing brokerage, right? I want my staff to feel like they have progression in their roles. I don't want to hold anyone back. So if I can help them progress in their careers, and as a brokerage, that helps us grow, and hopefully gets to a point over time where, I'm not writing any deals. I'm not there yet, but hopefully in the future, we can keep building towards that. And I just got a gun team that are really good at what they do. They're kicking all their goals. We're kicking goals, and everyone's having a good time.
With that vision in your mind of building this gun brokerage, legends there, everyone's enjoying themselves, everyone's a high performer. What would you say are the 3 top ingredients to make that a reality?
Oh, man. Depends which model you want to go down. I've chosen the employee model. So for me, right, I need the lead flow to be able to keep everyone busy. We need the process, obviously. I'm not there yet, but they're going to need support at some point when they start maxing out on their volume. So I think over time, you just need to start to adapt to whichever stage you're at, and then hopefully, start building on it. But yeah, I just want people to feel like they've got the opportunity to maybe grow where they might not have somewhere else.
How important is that culture piece in a team, mate?
It's very important, particularly having people remote, right? I've met Jess once in person, met James once. It's harder to build that culture because you're not in the office every day. You're not going to the PD days or the events. So I think just having really good relationship with your employees, being able to have a conversation, human to human, as opposed to boss to employee, right? I'm pretty transparent and open with all my communication. Salary reviews, all this stuff. It's more of a, hey, let's sit down, have a conversation, and try and work out where we want to be.
I don't think you can teach that to someone, mate. I think that's like intrinsic to you as a person. Like, how do you teach someone? You've just said something here, like having a human to human conversation instead of boss to employee. How can you teach someone to think like that? I don't know if you can.
Probably comes back to the confidence side as well, right? If I've got the utmost confidence in my staff, I don't need to boss them around or tell them what to do.
No, it's kind of fucking productive.
They can just, as long as the job's getting done, the client's happy, we're getting the 5-star Google reviews, the deals are settling. Like, what more can you ask for, really? So I think you just need to take a step back and try not to micromanage everyone and let them grow into the role.
Love. Mate, final question. It's my favorite question. I ask everybody this question. If you could give 8-year-old Alex one piece of advice, what would you tell him?
I think you just need to stay inquisitive and just, you will find what you're looking for. I spent a lot of time not knowing what my future looked like. I knew it wasn't construction. I knew that the day I started in it. But it was a means to an end, right? It got me in a good position financially, set me up for what I ended up doing. But that whole time I was just looking for that spark. So just keep searching for it. You will find it eventually. And when you find it, you just got to back yourself and, not leave any stone unturned.
Love it, mate. Love it. I appreciate you, mate. Big G, man. King G. You know that. I tell you every day. Thanks for coming on, ladies and gentlemen.
Mate. Appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast with King G. And see you next time. Goodbye.
Ciao.